Hi, and welcome to this presentation on the heart or ego center. This is also known as willpower. This center is a motor center, so it has resources of energy to move forward that it can be used, and the heart center works in spurts. So it's a motor that kind of has energy and then needs to rest. And it's quite forceful, it's quite strong. As you go forward and start noticing who has this center defined and who has the center undefined, I think you'll start to get a sense of this center and the force that it has. When we talk about willpower, we're talking about the ability to promise your energy to the future. So someone that has this center defined really has a defined and reliable ability to make promises to the future, to say, yeah, I'll be there on this day. I'm going to go to that soccer game. I am, I'll have that report to you by Friday at noon. That's all willpower. That's, there's a solidity about it where, 65% of the population doesn't have access to willpower, to the ability to make those solid, reliable promises. And yet we're all very much encouraged and conditioned to be able to make that kind of promise. So that's one of the challenges of this center that we're going to explore in more depth. So the center is this like small triangle near the center of the graph, and it has to do with willpower, egoism, the ego, the self, a sense of self-worth. So do you have a healthy sense of self-worth or not? And also any of the workings of the material plane, all kind of converge in this center. So it has to do with things like making deals and, the business world, competition. Okay, great. So let's jump in here, and we're going to explore the defined will or ego or heart. There's really three names for it: defined will, defined ego, defined heart center. So I use all three of them. To me, they have different, they speak to different aspects of this one center. So I might use will, I might use the word, that person has defined will, if I get a sense of their willfulness, and I can see, look at them making promises that they can then keep. Or I might use ego if I can sense from them, that person doesn't have a defined ego. They don't really necessarily have this like solid sense of self-worth. So I use the different terms at different times. So this center is energy for the material plane, and it's the heart of the tribe or family, what holds us together at the deepest level. So it's three of the four gates that are in this center are tribal gates. So having to do, with providing for our family, for the people that are nearest and dearest to us. And not necessarily providing for everyone, but providing for our own. Making sure that there's bread on the table at night. Making sure that we have money to pay our bills. And so it's kind of like, tribal things are known as sticky. They're, the deals that we can make with our tribe can be sticky, where it's like, I said, you said you would do this for me. Expectations, all that stuff relates to the center. those who have the center defined can really have a natural, sturdy sense of self-worth, feel self-assured, and not committing to things that don't serve it. So I noticed this at an event that I attended a while back. It was with a bunch of industry leaders, people who had well-established transformation businesses. And I ended up going on like a ski vacation with two of the leaders afterwards. Both of them had defined ego or will centers. And for them, like during the event, I noticed they never wore nice clothes. They were like, one of them was always dressed like a bum, basically. The other woman, she mostly wears like baseball caps. And, here we are at this event, and most people would be like all dressed up and, dropping names and kind of showing how great they are. And these guys were totally understated, not trying to prove anything. There's like a natural self-assuredness that comes with, I think, having the center defined, where you don't need to prove yourself, so you're not like trying to. And they were both kind of perplexed at some of the kind of proving habits of the rest of the people, most of whom would have undefined egos. One thing I would say, though, is that I have noticed that there are some people that have the defined ego that still struggle with self-worth, and that they still don't always feel self-assured. So everything in human design is a binary, this or that. So, this is the potential for a solid sense of self-worth, and also, moments of a fragile sense of self-worth. And that's what all the undefined people are amplifying. They can amplify the self-assuredness and become even more self-assured to a grandiose degree. And they can also become, really having low feelings of self-worth. So in the healthy side of things, though, people with the center defined do have like a strong natural sense of self-worth, which is a huge advantage, I think, that they carry. A sense of self that's really rooted in the physical plane. So these people really do have a leg up in terms of the wheelings and dealings of the material plane. Making deals. This is worth that much. I'm going to pay this much. I'm going to, just even saving money, keeping money, having money, investing money, buying things. That's their world. They really do have a natural ability with all things material. This would be the unhealthy version of the defined ego, is, like an egoistic person, an egotist. Someone who, is so self-assured and knows, and like this willpower, this egoic willpower is strong. It's a strong, forceful motor that can pressure other people, and make other people feel unworthy, make people feel like they have to prove themselves. So this inflated ego would be the unhealthy expression of having that center defined. I've seen some frustration in people with a defined ego, where they really just don't get that other people, most other people, 65% of the population does not have the center defined. So 65% of the population isn't really well suited to making willful promises. 65% of the population doesn't really have an ongoing, consistent sense of self-worth, or even a sense of the value of things, a consistent sense of the value of anything. So, you know, I think that for people that have this center defined, learning to understand that other people don't have the same innate sense of worth and of being able to make promises that you do, can really go a long way to understanding your fellow human beings, and even just having compassion for them and not putting them under too much pressure to be like you. Because I think having willpower is like a superpower that, you know, any superpower, we can both use it and we can abuse it. And, you know, unless you have ego authority, you know, your ego is not your authority. Your willpower is not your authority. So one of the things that I see with people that have this center defined is that they can end up, their willpower can end up easily overriding their authority. They can end up making decisions willfully. You know, the mind and the will working together. Like, oh, I think I want to do this. I will do it. Rather than really listening to their authority and their strategy about what to use their energy for. So let your willpower be of service to your design, not of detriment to it. So in the healthy side of things, yeah, these people have consistent access to willpower. And again, I feel like that's something to be really mindful of if you have this center defined, is that your willpower is powerful, and it needs to be respected and used wisely. So not abused, not overused. People with willpower can really end up burning themselves out by making too many promises, and then because they do follow through. They really do have a tendency to follow through on their word, and not following through on their word is also very unhealthy for them. So, you know, use your willpower with respect, and see it for the valuable asset that it is. Because, you know, having that willpower, you can really, you know, drive things forward and get things done quickly. And that's something to be really honored and respected. Healthy, having a natural sense of self-esteem and self-worth, and has a fixed, natural way of dealing with things on the material plane. Unhealthy, pumped up ego, expecting everyone else to be like them, puts pressure on others to prove themselves and keep promises, and they end up being forceful with others. Okay, let's explore the undefined ego, which is most people. So people that have the center undefined, they naturally can sense that, you know, they have a lack of ego, they have a lack of self-worth, a lack of sense of their own value. And so they end up trying to prove that they're good enough in all manner of ways, by, you know, having great friends, by doing, you know, certain degrees, by getting the house, the kids, by making their body beautiful, by getting money, by getting love, by being the best human design person. So any type of trying to show how good you are, trying to be the best, trying to impress others, trying to prove your worth in any way is an expression of this center, and in its unhealthy form. And watch for this, because it could be subtle. It might not be that you're overtly even aware that you're doing this, but a lot of self-improvement stems from this. It's like just a deep-seated feeling that you're not good, that you're not good enough as you are. This is a really strong conditioning force. So having the open ego can, have your own, because all of the open centers talk through the mind, so that they could have the voice of the open ego can be telling you that you're not good enough, and turning whatever outward things that happen into fuel against you. Having the center undefined, you don't have consistent access to willpower, so the ability to make promises of your energy to the future. So that's challenging, especially, if you're trying to run a business, because business, really involves promises. It's, promises are how you make money, because you have to say you're going to do something, in most cases, to make any money. So, but having the center undefined, you're under amplified pressure to make promises. So the secret to this is just to notice the amplified pressure to make a promise. Notice the impulse in you that wants to have you say, oh yeah, I can do that. Let's do that. Making a pressured promise pushes away the potential moment of feeling unworthy. So in that moment where you're like, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. That's that moment where you feel, worthy, because you just said you would do something valuable. But if you weren't honoring your strategy and authority, there's no real true resource inwardly to support that promise. You didn't make that promise based on your strategy and authority. So there's no resource from life to support it. There's no resource from your own energy to support it. So then, you've made an empty promise. Most people will follow through and keep that promise even to their own detriment. But that's not very good for you. So if you have the center undefined, notice yourself making these promises that you really ought not to make. Attempt to do it less, and let your strategy and authority be what decide what promises that you enter into. Self-improvement. It's a huge industry for the open ego. And one of the things I've seen just sales-wise is if people push on this button, like that you'll be better. Oh my gosh, you'll be amazing. If you just buy this thing, you will, this part of you that you feel so bad about, you will become amazing with it. You'll be a star. You'll be awesome. That's all open ego. It's an area where people are super vulnerable to being taken off of their own course and being, using their life force for the wrong reasons. It's a story. So the undefined centers speak in the mind. Depending on what gate that you have activated in the center. So there are 4 gates. If you have the center undefined and you still have one of the gates activated, you'll notice that you'll have a tendency to try to prove in this way. So gate 26, trying to prove that you are the best or impress people. This is the gate of the egotist. I have this gate. I'll notice myself making inflated claims about myself and how great I am, and trying to show people how great I am. That's an example of this gate in action. Gate 21, trying to prove that you are in control and to maintain control. Gate 40, proving that you can deliver the goods. Gate 51, this urge to be competitive, to be the first. The freedom of this center and realizing that you have the center undefined is that you can really be free of proving. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing you need to improve. You're not here to prove yourself. So you can leave the proving to the people with the defined ego who are, who are more here to be in that kind of competitive wheeling and dealing world. And for you, when I first learned about the center, I have the center undefined, I felt like, oh my God, I'm screwed. I feel so bad about myself so often. I don't have a consistent sense of my own worth. Even my programs, I'm always changing the prices because I don't know how much they're worth. Oh, I hate having the center undefined. I just wish that I had this center defined. That was kind of my mindset. But as I've grown in my design and just witnessed a lot of people's design, I've really become grateful for having the center undefined. And also, I love the people that I know who have this center undefined. I just love them. They're not egoic. They don't need to show how great they are. There's not a lot of ego there. It's a beautiful thing. It's so lovely. To me, it's like a relief. These people, they're more relaxing for me to be around. So I like to share the story of just this YouTube video I watched of Neil Young, the folk singer, when he's young-ish, and he's singing on the BBC. And oh my God, to me, he just really embodies the beauty of this undefined center, where he's just, and I checked his chart, of course, and saw that he has this center undefined. He's just playing his guitar, and it's like, oh, the only reason I'm here playing this guitar is because it's my thing. It's what I do. I'm just here playing my song. I'm not playing it to show you how great I am. This is just my poetry for you. And I feel that knowing the center is undefined in me has given me a lot of freedom, where, when I used to do public speaking, I would feel a lot of pressure to prove myself and to show that I was really good. And now I don't have that pressure. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go up there and do my thing. I'm in the right place. I've responded to an opportunity. I feel like I should be here. So, strategy and authority for me, following those, I'm in the right place. So I just need to go up there and be myself. I don't have anything to prove. There's nothing to prove. Even if I don't know the right answer, if I forget what I'm going to say, and I just have way more fun now on stage than I used to, because I'm not trying to prove anything. And people can feel that. They can feel the relaxedness that comes from not having anything to prove. It's a relief for everyone, because most people have the center undefined and they're really run by the pressure to try to prove how great they are. Yeah, it's like, wow, the only reason to climb that mountain, if you have the center undefined, is like strategy and authority. It's like, oh. But you have nothing to prove. You don't need to do it. Looks beautiful. So the healthy version is they've reached a place of being content with their worth. They can make promises. They have the ability to work with people. And to me, make promises through your strategy and authority. And also find ways to work with people while keeping flexibility about your promises. So I've really worked a lot on that with my business, how I make agreements so that I can really leave some flexibility for me to be true to myself. Unhealthy, low feelings of self-esteem and self-worth, and particularly letting those low feelings of self-esteem and self-worth run your decision-making. Difficulty in recognizing their own value, but value in general, and asking for an appropriate price for their achievements. Unable to keep promises, loves to spend money, and overcompensates. Awesome. So that is the Open Ego, and I hope that you've learned about the center. I really think the center is hugely valuable to make a study of, whether you have it defined or undefined. And I look forward to hearing your stories of what you observe as you learn about it. Okay, take care.